Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, despite being hyped and marketed as the last hurrah for so many of these characters that people care about, for this star-studded cast, and of course James Gunn's last entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, had an incredibly weak box office opening. Couldn't even hit the levels of Thor: Love and Thunder that we saw last year that was also a disappointing opening, and it was even less than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2's opening weekend all the way back in 2017. Not only that, it was the lowest summer opening that Marvel has ever seen since Disney bought the Marvel Cinematic Universe. However, there were a couple positive things, specifically the word of mouth. The fact that the critics enjoyed this movie and that the audiences seemed to love it, and yet it still had such a low box office opening, really shows how damaged the brand of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is. But as we saw, all was going to come down to this second weekend, and even after the second weekend, how this thing holds, because this is a movie with a massive budget, and a massive marketing budget that needs to hit around $750 million at a minimum just to break even. Well, they got about the best news they could possibly get for this weekend. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, best second weekend hold for MCU post-pandemic. And not only is it the best hold they've seen post-pandemic, if it's going as projected, it'll also be a better hold than we saw for the first Guardians movie and the second Guardians movie. That is something that's pretty impressive, even though some of that has to do with how weak the initial opening here in the United States was. And you can see the number they're projecting as of right now is about a 50% drop. That's a good hold. That is a damn good hold, even with the caveats that you put in there, when you consider that everything MCU related has been falling 67%, 68%, 65% in its second weekend. Now, before this movie came out, I predicted that it would be a better weekend hold than anything we'd seen MCU. I thought it'd be around 60%. I didn't think it'd be this good of a hold. This is an incredible hold for Guardians of the Galaxy 2. $58 million, $58 to $60 million right now is what a lot of people are projecting for the second weekend. That's still a little bit lower number total weekend than we saw for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but when you look at percentage drops, it still would be a better hold than Guardians Volume 2. And when we go and we look right now, you can see this Friday, it was a big number. A $15.7 million Friday, a 67% hold. Compare that to what we saw for something like Thor: Love and Thunder, its first Friday, an 80% drop, and didn't even make the same amount of money. So now you're finally starting to see Guardians potentially start making up some ground on Thor: Love and Thunder. And the reason that's important is because Thor: Love and Thunder made $760 million and at a similar budget, similar marketing, things like that. This is a really good comparison for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And if it wants a chance to make money, it has to make more than Thor: Love and Thunder. As of right now, domestically, through this Friday release, $201 million for Thor: Love and Thunder. Guardians still all the way back at $168 million. It's still significantly behind Thor. Internationally, it's doing really well, but the studio doesn't get as much of that money from the box office as they do here domestically. So a lot is going to depend on the next several weeks. But one thing is for sure, that I didn't think it was going to hold this well. I thought it would be a good hold. I didn't think it'd be a 50% hold. But that's what we're looking at right now for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. But even with that good news, the question remains, will that be enough? Because it has no competition this weekend. No competition at all. You don't have that until the next couple weeks. You got Fast 10, you got Little Mermaid, you got all these things that start to come out. This was its one weekend that it needed to make a lot of money. It did its job. Will it hold? Will it, with all this crowded summer schedule, will it still be able to pick up, hundreds of millions of dollars over the next several weeks to get to that $750 million mark? I think it probably will. I think it's going to be in that $750, $800 million area. But the fact that you had such this weak opening weekend, despite all the hype, despite all this stuff, and then you still have this good hold, it really shows me that the overall brand of Marvel is damaged. That people had to be convinced to go out and watch this movie. They weren't willing to just give it a chance, even though it's probably the best thing that Marvel's put out in years, probably since Infinity War, potentially. This is a movie that still has a long way to go before it actually becomes profitable, but for right now, that's about the best news they could have possibly gotten. A 50% hold on the weekend, albeit with a low opening weekend and also no competition, but nevertheless impressive for current day MCU. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Do you think that'll hit that $750 million mark, which again, bare minimum to break even for a movie like this? Let me know your thoughts about all this in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.